Of living in today's modern society are all of the advancements that we've made over the past numerous years or decades. From the ability to communicate almost instantaneously via our phones to the faster, more dynamic cars, as well as the implementation of machines that can not only compute but also build things that only our wildest dreams can imagine. Now, I believe 3D printers were the game changers. 3D printing has only recently become a thing, with the ability to build solid objects that have size range from anything microscopic to significantly large. This has become extremely beneficial to people in all walks of life and areas of businesses. 3D printing is the ability to build any version of any model that was created via digital software. It's important to become knowledgeable about the capabilities of 3D printing, as it could potentially become a part of anybody's everyday life. As the future progresses and advances, 3D printing will likely follow. Though I'm no expert, I've invested many hours and effort into researching the capabilities and conveniences of 3D printers as a whole. I feel as though I've obtained enough information to pass it on to others who may in turn do the same. Today I'll inform you of the historical overview and the beneficial uses of 3D printing as a whole. So let's start with the 3D history. Oops. Though the 3D idea was originally born in 1980, it didn't garner much attention until around when it had reached social media outlets in the 2000s. It took between 2 and 3 decades for people to acknowledge and appreciate such a machine existed. Though it wasn't relevant to most, that doesn't mean that it didn't exist or benefit others. According to RevPart.com, 3D printing actually created scaffolding for a new bladder to grow cells onto, and then the ability to create a totally new bladder itself by that. And that was clear back in 1999. In 2002, the first kidney was 3D printed. Though it was an animal kidney, that was a significant step in the right direction. By the time 3D printing became widely known, they were already printing blood vessels and skulls. 2014, a woman's life was actually saved by an entire skull replica replacement. As you can see, regardless of the timeline, the 3D printer has made great strides in the decades since introduction. Now that you know the historical relevance of the 3D printer, let's move on to the current medical uses of the 3D printer. There are many areas in the medical field that use 3D printing and have had an impact made on them. Prosthetic limbs and cardiology are only a few of the broad amount of areas benefiting currently. First, covering prosthetics and limbs. The benefits of 3D printing was initially the reason why I decided to choose this topic for this particular presentation. Having the ability to change the life of somebody who has suffered a tragic accident or were born with birth defects by providing them a limb that they've been missing is absolutely incredible to me. I can't even imagine that feeling. So, for example, large numbers of veterans have returned home from battle with not only PTSD, but suffering a loss of a limb or potentially multiple. Now, according to the VA government website, many companies with 3D capabilities have teamed up and given vets the ability to obtain prosthetics for free in hopes that it'll help them return to living life as normally as possible. For this to become a reality, all that's needed to create the prosthetic is a few photographs and dimensions to be entered into the software to create it. Next is the heart. The medical term is cardiac/cardiology. Aside from all of the pros to cardiologists implementing the 3D printer, according to the Clinical Cardiology Journal, the printing can also likely reduce operative risk and increase operative success. The summarization of scanning and building one of these can be seen here on this slide. First is data imaging, second is segmenting the image, third is inspecting, retouching, and smoothing, fourth is preparation for printing, fifth is the actual printing of the image, and then sixth is examining and perfecting the model itself. Doctors have been able to build, construct, and apply 3D images in many areas of the heart, from aortic valve, stents, and even atrial septal defects. And those are just a few. Atrial septal defects is actually the most common heart defect among people and is often caused by not having a septal wall grow accurately from within the fetal development stages. According to the interventional cardiology, 3D capabilities have made this defect easier to evaluate and detect as a whole, and also limits complications where CTs and MRIs are concerned. 3D models will improve overall understandings of the defects and allow doctors to examine conditions prior to having the printed device implanted. With knowing that these are only two of the very many broad uses of the 3D printer that it has in the medical field, I hope that it gives each of you the need to find out whether it will ever impact your daily lives. In conclusion, I've covered two major points about 3D printing. I've given you a historical overview and have laid out detailed vital information as to the current benefits we're seeing in the medical industry. Now each of you will be able to apply your knowledge and understanding where the 3D printing derived from and how it's benefiting only this one area in our lives. Imagine where else it could be. Explore more to learn about the different business fronts it aids besides just the medical field.